It's the same exact dimensions as the moon board, but without all the moon board holds. Now let's start at the bottom. As you can see, I have 4 rows of feet. Now all these footholds are relatively good because when I set up this wall, I didn't want to have to focus too much on how I place my feet, because the wall that you set up at your home should be fun for you to climb on, if that makes sense. And thus the climbing style of this wall is predominantly feet follow hand. It's not a rule, but it is a strong suggestion suggested by the lack of footholds that are on the wall that's not the kickboard, you feel me? And now you will notice that the main density of the hose is in the center of the wall. The reason why is really simple. Falling to the right and falling to the left is not a fun experience at all. And now you may also take it for a look and notice that this wall is not entirely filled with holes, primarily because holes are very expensive. Though I do recommend escape climbing if you wish to buy seconds. Seconds are factory made holes that have a defect in them, and they are sold at a fraction of the cost that they would normally be sold at. But of course, as you look at all these seconds that I do have from escape climbing, it's nigh on impossible to tell where the defects are, really. I tell you if you what. Which brings us to the wooden holes, which are made in house. And thus they are particularly very cheap to make and financially beneficial, though very labor intensive. And not only are they very skin friendly, but they do add a nice balance of texture along in accordance with the plastic holes for a nice variety of feel. And because these wooden holes are made in-house, they can be shaped however you like. I have very some crimpy holes, and I also have this holder, which is really cool, which you can take from up top as an up top hole or as a down low from a down low underclane type of ordeal. Now underclanes add a very good amount of dynamic diversity to your climbing, not only when they're placed at the bottom of the board, but when they're placed higher on the board as well, which really makes it interesting when you climb on it. And the setting of this wall was not done in a 9x9 grid where I thought about having every single hole type in that grid, but more so of how many variety of angles can I fit into one specific area. I found that having more directional polling ability option is way more interesting than having a variety of holes, so a variety of directions is what I aimed for. And this helps create climbs with side pulls, underclanes, Gaston moves, just makes it a little bit more interesting. And these volumes that I have only add to that interesting factor. Now first things first about these volumes is that they're not very big, so from the side profile you can't even tell I have volumes, which is good, which helps prevent a banging of your limbs upon them as you ascend. And even though these volumes don't stick out too much, they do make all the climbs in the wall a lot more three-dimensional, which surprisingly makes it a lot more funner to climb upon. The wall itself is set at a 40-degree overhang, which I think is just a perfect amount of overhanging for a home type wall type ordeal. Makes it just hard enough for me to train on without it being too easy, you know what I mean. But also the 40-degree overhang does have this slight advantage of bringing the fall zone a lot closer to your body. Using several crash pads to cover the floor in accordance with a blubber on top and a gym mat on the other side, it's a very safe landing area to land upon. And I also made sure to give the pads in the kickboard space away from each other so that you actually have space to place your feet in between that little slot without the pads intruding upon you. I predominantly use jugs and good hoes as the main dominant hoe type on this wall because I want to do big, strong, burly moves and because my fingers are plenty of strong already. But of course, I do still have small holes on the board because it's good to work everything in that accordance, but you should also set it up in the way that you want to have it be used for you. You will see this endless amount of shoe rubber on the panels, and I will let you know when it comes to building a wall, do not skimp out on the panels. Panels are the lifeblood of the wall. Great panels that don't splinter will provide longevity and structure to your home wall. And of course, like any good spray wall, I do have this wall being currently set up on the Stoke app so that I can record all my climbs, and recording your climbs is good for measuring progression as well as, well, remembering climbs to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, partner.